storm this afternoon. Otherwise, today's high temperatures flirting with 70, and tonight falling to about 50. Tomorrow, we scrape the low 70s again, and Friday the heat cranks up to the low 80s, and then the humidity seeps in. It'll be feeling like summer for the weekend. That's the forecast on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Right now, 66 degrees.
And it is the noon hour on a Wednesday. That means it's time for Senior Talk, which is brought to you by the Solon American Legion and Senior Benefits in Iowa City. And here is your host, Rex Brandstatter.
Well, hi. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Tommy. Welcome to Senior Talk. Absolute beautiful day here in May, right at the end of May, in eastern Iowa, flyover country. Nobody knows we're here, and that's probably not all bad. I could look these cornfields right out the windows here at the beautiful KCJJ studios, and the corn that they planted just a couple weeks ago, it's a foot high anywhere you want to look. The beans are just coming up. They're 2-3 inches high, but it's going to be summer in Iowa, so hang on. And Tommy just said the weather report there was a hot and humid start for the weekend. Absolutely. Thumbs up from Rex. We need some heat. We need some humidity. It's Iowa. Let's get it on. Bring it on. It's time to get all this clouds and the rainy stuff away. Let's have some heat. I'm not many of it people want heat, but I do. That's what I like it for. So we'll see what happens. Well, welcome to Senior Talk. It's a great day for me to be here with you, and it's a great day to be a senior. When you're a senior, I guess a great day is any day, huh? You betcha. Well, hello, and thanks for taking time out of your busy day. And to all those listening to Senior Talk, including seniors and the senior gonna-bees, or I don't know if you want to be, but if you don't have much choice, matter of fact. So senior gonna-bees, how's that? So thank you so much for sure for that. So I do my best every week to bring a lot of ideas that might, cover important aspects of being a senior or becoming a senior. And we'll also have a little time for some history. Now, everything that I talk about here might not help you, might not pertain to your particular position in life or role in life or needs or wants, but it might help. You might listen to something, and it might you might say, I was thinking, talk to somebody at work the other day, or talk to somebody down at the coffee shop because you're retired, or that might help my brother-in-law or my son or grandson. That's the secret of a Senior Talk. I'm just stirring things up, so maybe you can come up with things that might help you. And I've had many, many, many people tell me that they're so glad that finally they talked their husband into getting a will, or they talked their wife into believing that, yes, we can build onto the house type of thing, once they heard a little bit more on Senior Talk and then checked it out with their local officials. So that's what Senior Talk is for. And 13th year, I'm glad to be here. I'm so happy that you are listening, for sure. So grab yourself in your time here. Grab yourself a sandwich and a nice cold root beer, and let's see what we can cook up. My name is Rex Brandstatter. I'm 75 years old, and I'm a real estate broker, and I meet mostly and talk mostly with and to seniors. I work with a lot of estates. I work with executors of estates. I work with administrators of estates, trust departments of banks who manage properties for estates, things like that. Attorneys call me, CPAs call me to say my client needs this, or my client is now the estate of Mr. Smith, and things like that. So that's who I deal with. That's who I prefer to do business with. So give me a call anytime on my senior line, which is 319-330-5534. 330-5534. At this point, I'd like to thank each and every local organization, meaning the American Legions and any other military-type groups that held Memorial Day services. I attended two, one in Tiffin and one in Coralville, and I know we had some of our guys in the Color Guard who went down to the one in Iowa City on Park Road Bridge on Memorial Day, and that's great news. That's a wonderful outpouring of care and affection for all of us who are here. Paid respect to all those veterans, fallen veterans who've gone on before us. So thank you so much. And Memorial Day stays just what it is, a wonderful salute to all of our veterans who have gone on ahead. Well, that's the story. I'll do my best to bring what we can. So let's see what we can cook up today. I just want to tell you that I'm impressed with this weather. We're going to go into summer. It is time for some heat and humidity, and I say bring it on. So don't come to me with your too hot stories today. It's too hot to do this because I bet the farmers even want some sunshine and a little heat. Absolutely. We're going to get it for sure. Well, I was thinking about a couple hot things here, and you know, school gets out end of next week, middle of next week for the Iowa City Community School District, and I think some of the smaller school districts around are out at the end of this week. I'm not sure about that, but usually that's the way it works. And for me as a kid, when I was in grade school, and we'll say junior high, so that'd be like 1954 to 1962 or something like that. The best day of the year for me as a kid was the last day of school. Now, there's nothing more they could do the last couple days. They could do all they wanted, but I'm looking out the window. I did that during the year anyhow. But the last couple days, it's a waste of time. Now, they have to have the last day somewhere, so you got to go. I understand that. But it was the last day. They couldn't have told me the world was flat, and I wouldn't have cared because I wasn't listening. It was time. The season was up. School season was over for me in my mind, and my buddies and I, of course. And we just wanted to get the heck out of school. We wanted to walk home, and we wanted that teacher to say, "Okay, we're all out at 2 o'clock today or 3 o'clock, and we'll see you next year. Good luck to you all next year." Well, that was music to all the boys' ears. Let me tell you that. I don't know about the girls. Maybe they wanted to stay. I don't know. I really don't know. But in all honesty, everybody was ready. And I think all kids now these days at the end of school, for the most part, are ready to go do something else, whether it be a vacation, whether it be a camp, whether it be just hanging around. I don't know what people do, a part-time job. But the last day, so think back to your day, as you're a senior now, your day as a kid. The last day of school, it was here's what I kind of, no more structured days. Didn't have to be there at 8 o'clock or get up to go band practice at 7:30 or be there at 7 in the morning. And no more teachers and no more homework. That was it. No more nice clothes. Summer, I'm as a kid, I'm going to say it this or for this reference, I'm 10 to 12 years old or 13 years old, something like that. You know, the non-driving age, but you're just a goofy, geeky preteen or right at the start of your teenage years. And so it's time for jean shorts and T-shirts and tennis shoes. Little League or Babe Ruth baseball for the boys. Swimming in the Iowa River for me. We didn't have a swimming pool. Fishing in the Iowa River. Sandlot baseball. You know, in the real estate business, I drive around lots of neighborhoods. I never see sandlot baseball. You don't see a baseball game. And when I was a kid, all you had to do if you didn't have one in your neighborhood was get on your bike and ride a couple blocks away. And there's all the kids you knew anyhow. They're playing ball, a sandlot, playing softball or baseball, whatever it might be. Kaboom, you're in a game. It was just that easy every day in the summer. It's just the way it was. I don't see any of that now. We have Boy Scout campouts to go to and Boy Scout outings. It's just some days you didn't do anything. You didn't have anything up your sleeve. You didn't have a baseball game that night. You're going to go swimming in the afternoon, but nothing cooking. Along, and that was fine because there was no homework, nothing like that. The rule at our house was I had to be home for supper, and you better damn well show up. If you don't tell your mom you're not going to be there for supper, you're in big trouble. When the street lights came on, that's when you go home, and that was kind of universal. That way, my folks never knew exactly what time because they came on, I assume, with a photo sensor back then. I don't know if they had them in the 50s or not, but when the street lights came home, we didn't have very much time to get our old fannies home. That was it. About 99% of the kids, when the lights came on, we'll see you later, alligator. And back home we went, ready for another day of monkey shines the next day. And that's exactly what it was. You know, we would ride our bikes to downtown Iowa City from Corville or walk the Crandic tracks, anything. To get downtown because it was time for a Jerry Lewis movie or a Disney movie or a Western movie with cartoons, anything. That's what we look forward to. And of course, many nights we had baseball games, whatever league you were playing in. It was a wonderful time. One summer I know I went to 3 different camps. Went to church camp and a Western for boys, which was modeled after it was called Larry Joe Ranch for Boys in Boone, Iowa, but it was modeled after the Disney program with Spin and Marty. That's what it was modeled after. Boy, I sucked in hard on that, and I went there a couple summers for a couple weeks. I had a great time. So that's what summer was about. Now, I also read in the papers and hear moms and dads talk, and I'm neither one, a mom or a dad, but they want to have year-round school because of the learning retention and things like that. Well, I'd be all, if I had a vote, which I don't, I'd be against that because it's not a babysitting service for mom and dad. And in the summer, kids, even if left alone, there are a lot of things you can learn. And I don't mean today's kids sitting in the basement playing on the computer. We had no clue. There are a lot of things you can learn by playing sandlot baseball, while walking around your town, by doing things. You can learn a lot about life. You might not learn anything in books. You may or may not. Maybe you go on vacation and visit the Lincoln Memorial or go to the Black Hills. You can learn a lot of things that way, even in the trip itself. So that's what the summer was about. You know, there were daylight times. There was daylight for a long, long time, which kept the streetlights from coming on. Lightning bugs and riding bikes and mowing lawns for money and hanging around the old Koser's grocery store down by the river and buying baseball cards and walking along Clear Creek. Things that you did in your town, things that you did back when you were a kid. I don't know what you did. I guarantee you some of these things were played right into your hands too, because in the summer you were a kid once and you didn't have activities lined up every day. In fact, my folks lined very little up. It was all at my instigation, or they decided I was going to church camp, and here's the week we're going to go, or I wanted to go to the horse camp, so I wrote to them, and it's got a brochure, and then we called and set up times to go. That's that kind of thing. So that's what summer was about. One of the key things I mentioned on there was riding bikes. When you're anywhere as a kid up to about age 15, back when I was a kid, your bike was your transportation. And your bike was your best pal. Your bike was yours. Nobody in Corville, because 12th Avenue wasn't there. The drive-in theater, which was a huge hub of entertainment in the evenings, was way out on the west edge of town. And let me tell you where it was, in case you don't know. It's right on the site where the Corville Public Library is. That was the Corville Drive-In Theater, and it was on the edge of town. So that's how small Corville was. So nobody could take your bike because we knew everybody in town. We knew everybody whose bike it was. So we didn't. I never owned a lock for a bike ever in my life. So that's what it was. Quieter times, way back when. Things are different. I understand that, but that's what it was. You know, we hiked all along Clear Creek, jumped in Clear Creek, anywhere out by Clear Creek. We got ticks and we got all kinds of things. And then in the water, we got things on us in the water. But we're boys in the summer. I don't know what the girls did. I really don't know. I hope they had activities. We created our own. If you told our dad that we were bored, he said, okay. You never, ever wanted to say that to my dad, that you were bored. Ever. Couldn't find anything to do because you're going to be painting a fence. You're going to be pulling weeds. Take anything he could think of he wanted done. He could tell us to do that anyhow, but you never wanted to say you were bored. Kaboom, you're going to get extra work. So you never wanted to mention that, so you kept busy. So that was summer for me. How about you? Did you have a good time in the summer? Did you go to your aunt and uncle's house, go on vacation, visit cousins? Just lots of things that brought us a lot of fun back then. And so let's hope that these kids in today's world, while I never see kids, I don't see many kids on bikes. I ask to God, don't. I don't see many kids playing sandlot baseball. I don't see any tree houses going up. I just don't see that. I don't know what kids do. I do know what kids do. They play on these crazy computers all the time. And to me, that's not growing up the way you should grow up. But I don't have any kids, so I don't have any skin in the game. We'll see. Well, a senior friend of mine has had a couple challenges. Now, there's no way you make this stuff up. They had a fire at the house, and they lost a lot of things. And they had to move the remainder of their stuff that they could salvage to a friend of theirs, had a storage garage in the shop type area, so they moved all their stuff there. Then that burned down. So they woke up one morning with basically nothing to their name except kind of the clothes on their back, maybe a little bit more, but not much. And I said, is there any good news out of all this? He said, well, maybe there's a lesson out of all this, and it turned out to be some good news. I said, oh, let's hear it. He said, we met with, I said, well, the insurance guy's good to you? And he said, well, that's the story. I said, well, tell me about it. He said, well, my wife is, with her handy-dandy phone, is a pretty good taker of pictures. Photographer, they call it. I guess, Rex. And so they decided to take a picture of their home, which is the only real estate they owned. Take a picture of their home in different seasons, even. So they had several pictures of the inside of their house, the outside, around every direction. And then she decided, well, keep going. So they documented everything inside their house. Took pictures of the TV sets in the kitchen and opened the drawers and took pictures of this and that. Took a picture of we'll say the stereo system and the paintings on the wall or whatever they had in their office and the beds and all the furniture and things like that. He said, our insurance man said, well, we don't know what to tell you. We don't really know what we can do on this. We don't know what the contents were. And they said, well, we do. And by the way, they opened the closets and they laid out some coats, winter coats and things like that, and different clothing so they could see it. So they said, well, we know what we had. And they showed those pictures to the insurance agent. And he said, now you're cooking. He said, now we can take your claim for all these things. And now we know you do have a claim for more than what we were going to pay, what we had thought about paying, what we needed to pay. And so insurance company man said, this allowed us to pay exactly what our policy and your photos showed. He said, I guess your wife's photos were a very good saving grace. So I think that's a wonderful story. My wife and I have taken the first part of that. We met with our insurance company a couple months ago and reviewed all of our policies on different properties and things like that. And I said, what can we do to help you, the system here, if we have a fire or something? He said, you need to go with your phones or anything else. You need to document these things, so go take some pictures. If you have the ability to timestamp them, your pictures in the lower corner, a lot of the phones you can timestamp it. He said, that's even better for us. That even substantiates it more because you can't fib about that. Not that we expect you to fib, but you should do that. All right? So we have the Brandstatters. The Brandstatters, Rex, are totally computer literate or phone literate. We can do our best. So we have taken all kinds of pictures of the house, inside and out, opened the closets and all the kind of things that you would think they would want to see. Pictures of the counter, the countertops and the appliances and the beds and the televisions and the A to Z, ceiling fans, everything in your house. So there you go. If you have things in a gun safe, if you have things in a safe, I suggest that you lay those out. They may not believe you anyhow, but at least you can lay them out and take pictures so you give them intent. Here's what was in there. If you have a gun safe, a fireproof safe, it'll be there anyhow. You might have a little damage on the inside. You never know, but that could be there. So that's the moral of the story is take some pictures. Get started. Take a picture of your cars. Take a picture of your motorcycle. If that burns, it goes down with a house, tornado, fire, you've got something. You've got something to prove what you had so you can get some good payments from your insurance company. All right. One of the hardest realizations for me personally, and I'm just talking as Rex to all you folks listening, is the toll that age takes on us. I met a longtime friend who, not long ago, we've been friends forever and ever, high school buddies and classmates and stuff like that. Oh, I guess he was a year. Yeah, I think he was, yeah, okay. He's not looking too good, and the guy's never paying attention to stuff like that, but this friend is now humped over, kind of walks with a cane, has a hard time. Other friends have issues and health issues. It's all due to age. There's not much we can do to change some of it. Some of it you can if you have personal habits that could make you sick or shorten your life. That's your problem, your issue. But just the general aging of people and what it does. I saw a lady, a longtime friend of our family, the other day, and she was extremely humped over and walking with a cane and not walking very good. And boy, they were the liveliest couple in town. They were just great, had kids. It's all about aging. And so there's no such thing as aging gracefully. We don't really have a choice in it. You get old, you get older. It is what it is. So that's the hardest thing for me as we get older, to see other people kind of in the same boat I'm in. I guess that we're all in. Well, look at that Rex. Boy, he's really going down. Well, that's probably what they're saying about me. I don't know, and I don't care, but that's probably exactly the true story. So that's what happens, and it's all about aging, which is, I call it the great equalizer. So it is what it is, and I just have a hard time taking it all in sometimes. A senior lady asked me, he says, can I have a contractor remove an interior wall in my house between two small bedrooms and make them into one nice size one? I said, sure, you can do that. I said, if the wall is not a supporting wall. I said, I want you to hire a good, experienced and insured contractor and have him or her, we'll say, take a look at your house and your big idea and have them give you a bid in writing. Make sure the bid includes any needed and possibly required permits. So if the guy's going to do some work for you and take that wall down, he needs to go get a permit because you're going to be rebuilding. If you rebuild, you demo, you don't have to need a permit. If you're going to rebuild anything, electrical work, stuff like that, you're going to need a permit. So they know, the contractors know that, and don't fudge on that because you'll get in big trouble if you don't. And go get a permit and tell the contractor will say, we're going to take this wall down, rebuild another one. We're going to have to do this, this, and that, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to say, okay, that scope of work, we're going to spend $5,000. Let's just pay $2,500, $5,000. Here's how much to the permit. Everybody is fine. Everybody's well off. I said, but this, make sure you think this thing through. Not just taking a wall down. There might be an electrical outlet on the wall. So I want, you're going to have to get an electrician in there. So make sure you and the contractor think through the HVAC. In other words, if you've got 2-3 heating ducts in there, you're going to need all three. The electric end game, are you going to have to get, according to code, are you going to have to put another outlet in there? Because when the city sees what the contractor is going to do, you might have to put another outlet in there to meet today's code, which you're going to have to do if you get a contractor. The door access, how about the window? Is it going to leave you an ingress, egress in that game? The lighting end game, is there going to be enough lights? Is it going to be on a switch you got to walk clear down the other end of the room to do? The flooring challenges, is the flooring in one carpet and the other one hardwood floors, are they going to match up? Are you going to have to change the whole thing? You get into a myriad of things just because you wanted to take a wall down. Well, if you're going to do that, take the wall down. I don't have any problem with it. From the real estate angle, it makes a 3-bedroom house into a 2, which kind of changes the dynamics of your house. But if you're going to live there, one big bedroom, one bedroom made out of 2 is a better deal. I would hesitate to do that if you only have a 2-bedroom house. Now you're going to make it a 1-bedroom. I wouldn't hesitate on that. But if you have a 3-bedroom home and want to combine 2, think it through and do all these things. And then after you've thought about all those things, then get your full price from your contractor. Well, he's going to have an electrician take a look, and he better get a HVAC guy over there to make sure maybe he would know if you're going to need a new heating duct in there, a new AC duct in there. And the lighting, do you have to get an electrician over there to change the lights and get a different lighting setup in there and change the switch? You need to think those things through, folks, and then call your contract, get a bid for the whole schmear, as my folks used to say. Then you've got something. All right. A senior man says this, we love our neighborhood. Probably too much, he said. Several of the houses are either rentals now or people just don't seem to care anymore. Our yard is the nicest looking by far, and it used to just be the norm. But now we have neighbors who mow as last resort. Toys and bikes and stuff all over the front yards, an extra car parked along the side of the driveway, thus creating a mud hole most of the time. He said, I kind of think we waited too long to move to get top dollar, because now anybody looking at our house, if we decide to sell, would see all these houses in the immediate neighborhood that are kind of iffy. Maybe a rental, that's never good, I told him. So he said, what can we do? I said, if you plan to sell, that's your decision. I'm not here to tell you hurry up and sell. Get your house. Don't worry about the neighbors. Get your house in good condition. Whatever it may need, do your best. Whatever it may need, whatever you think needs help. If you were going to buy your house, what would you do? I know you have some projects to do. So get those done. And when it's all ready, you put your house on the market. You have your real estate agent market your house, just your house. And somebody buys into it, they're going to get your house, what you think is in good shape. And they can look at the neighbors. They'll be able to see up and down the street. Might not bother them the least. So there you go. All right. Well, a senior man says this. A few weeks ago, you said you saw a cartoon, I guess, that showed a dad with his son, I remember this one, in front of a totally packed storage unit. And the garage door was up, and you could see stuff just packed in there. And the dad said Someday all this will be yours. And this guy says, I remember I was laughing. This guy says, I can't get that out of my mind. He said, I have a storage unit that is pretty full of stuff and things that I like and that I have kept. And he says, I rarely go there. So as you say, I'm paying good money to store my old stuff that I don't use. So he said, I can't even bring myself to tell my two kids, adult kids, standing there in front, someday all this will be yours. He said, they probably turn around and walk away. So he says, I'm planning to attack the stuff, donate it, sell it, give it away, whatever I have to do. I said, kaboom, good for you. You have just come to the realization that you have too much stuff. If you haven't used it, ladies and gentlemen, even if it's a grandfather clock or something from your great-great-grandfather, call up your kids and say, last chance, who wants the grandfather clock, who wants the collection of paperweights? I've seen these things. Who wants the collection of music boxes, all these types, whatever it might be. Who wants the guns? If you're not using them, have your kids come and get them or sell them or donate them, wherever you want to do. Absolutely get started. You bet. This guy was kind of tipping his hand there and that he didn't need that stuff anymore, and I played right along with him, and I gave him the honest-to-God truth. Go for it. All right. Oh, I want to go back for a minute and tell you, again, when you were a kid, if you grew up out in the country, your bike might not have been a big deal for you because maybe you had to walk to town, or something like that, and you just grew up on the farmyard, and maybe you rode a pony. When I might have, maybe you rode a pony down the other guys. You had a mini bike, that type of thing. You could do all that out in the country. Well, in town, even though Coralville only had one policeman, we drove go-karts on the street, and we had one of the couple kids had mini bikes and anything you could to get around because we aren't old enough to drive yet. And when you got a learner's permit at 14, you had to have an adult. Although on Sunday mornings, my brother had a paper route, a Sunday morning Gazette route, and my dad allowed me to drive him around on Sunday mornings because he said, Rex, there's nobody around Coralville on a Sunday morning at 6:30 in the morning. So he was right, so I drove that. But your bike was your transportation. And a trip to Novotny's downtown Iowa City was like going to heaven, because inside Novotny's on South Clinton Street next to the White Way grocery store were rows and rows of bicycles, Schwinn bicycles. And that was Valhalla for a kid back in the day, whether you're from Iowa City or Coralville or anywhere else, Hills or Solon. That was a great place to go, Novotny's in Iowa City. And the blue ones and red ones and black ones and red ones and orange ones and white ones, whatever they had, man, was that the place to be. And if you were lucky enough, my deal was my dad bought me my first bicycle, I think, at Sears or Montgomery Ward's, knowing I'd grow out of it. When I did, we went down to Novotny's and bought a new Schwinn. And then the deal was this. If I grew out of that one, the rest of the bicycles were on me because they were my bikes, and I was going to I was making money mowing the yards and carrying papers at my own route, or I was a substitute on a route for 3 different routes, so I was always busy. So that's what it was. So your bicycle was a big deal as a kid. Absolutely. How about some facts and figures here? The expected age of retirement has increased from 63 to 66. That's the expected age of retirement, all right? The current U.S. life expectancy is up again. It's up to 81 for men and 84 point something for women. 40% of older Americans say they're delaying retirement due to inflation. Well, that could be. According to a retirement survey, here's the breakdown of when surveyed retirees stopped working. Under 55, only 13% retired under 55. 55 to 59, 20% retired. 60 to 61, only 9%. 62 to 64, 9%. 65, 13%. 66 to 69, 13%. Add all those up, and you get 70 or older who never retire, 6%. So look, between 55 and 65 is when the rubber hits the road on there, that's for sure. All right. Now, then there's those never going to retire. Oh, more power to you. 1 in 12 Americans say they will never retire. Ever. All right. The retirement savings stats. Average retirement savings by age. 65 and older Average retirement savings, $279,000. The average American starts saving for retirement at 31 years old. Boy, if you had 21, if you start saving at 21, you'd have 10 years up on some of the interest rates. 58 million, or 32% of working age Americans have no retirement savings. 32%, so 1 out of 3. 7 in 10, so we're going to call that 70% where I went to school, between age 50 and 74, don't have a formal retirement plan. While 4 and 5, 80%, lack retirement planning basics on how to be financially secure. So it's a great panacea coming, or retirement age out the door, like the last day of school, out the door we go, nothing more to do. And kaboom, you get the finish line and retirement, and all you've got is Social Security and $6,200 in the bank. And you had all this time to do something for yourself. So get with it, folks. Please, please, please get with it. And 88% of people believe that the generation after theirs will have a more difficult time retiring than they did, and I would bite on that for sure. Absolutely for sure. Well, I'm going to tell you a fish story. Now, there was a big article in the paper about a young man here in town. He caught an 81-pound catfish, flathead, down at below the Burlington Street Dam. 81 pounds. It's been certified by the State Conservation Commission and the game warden. I'm not sure that's a state record, but he caught an 81-pounder. And according to all reports, he threw it back in to let somebody else enjoy catching it again. If you caught it as an 81-pound flathead, they would not be that good eating, because remember, they live on the bottom and they eat mud and anything else that happens to roll by. That's what they do. They live there on the bottom with their mouth open and stuff goes in. That's honest to God true story. Let me tell you a true fishing story. On July 14th of 1965, didn't that sound like your grandpa talking? July 14th, 1965, while I was fishing below the Coralville Dam down there in Coralville on 5th Street, a friend of mine, Roger Fairchild. Now, Roger passed away, so otherwise I don't mention real names here very often. Roger Fairchild hooked in and had a bite. He was fishing down below the dam, had a bite, and he set the hook, and pretty soon the fight was on. And a couple hours later, Roger Fairchild, he had to move. He was out in the water. He had to move around across the dam, do all kinds of things to fight that fish. He caught a 62-pound flathead. And he held it up for the pictures. They took pictures of it, and the Press Citizen, somebody quick called the Press Citizen, who actually had employees at the time. And they sent a cameraman out, and he took pictures of it. And Roger held that thing at his waist, and Roger was, I suppose, 6 foot, 6'1". He might have been taller. He was kind of tall, skinny guy, good guy. I would say at that time Roger was 19 or 20, long in there. He was a little bit older than me. He was last year in Babe Ruth baseball was my first year, so he was a pitcher. He pitched at U-High, good guy, and he basically lived at the river. And he caught this giant, and it was a big talk around town, and took pictures. And he didn't throw it back. He had pictures taken. I don't know what became of it, but anyhow, that's the story. The reason I know that is because on July 15th, the next day, was my 16th birthday. And so I was fishing down there on the 14th when Roger caught that, and I saw the whole thing. And then the next day it was in the newspaper. I still had the clipping. Roger passed away about a year ago, less than a year ago. And here's the moral of that story. He caught that catfish, a flathead catfish they're called, and from that day forward until the day he died, nobody ever knew his name was Roger. His name became Catfish Fairchild. He was Catfish the rest of his life. He was introduced to people as Catfish Fairchild. Half of them never even listened, like Catfish Hunter, the baseball pitcher. Nobody knew his real name. Catfish Hunter's real name was Jim Hunter. It rhymes with Jim Hunter from KCJJ, by the way. So Catfish Fairchild was a living legend in Coralville. It was a state record flathead until, 15 years ago. Maybe somebody caught a bigger one, and theirs is recorded too. I think it's 92 pounds. I don't think it's 82 would be a state record, but I could be wrong. But anyhow, that's what happened to Roger Fairchild. He became, that day, on July 15th, 1965. I did get my driver's license that day, by the way. Went down and drove around the block down to the courthouse downtown. had to drive around the block and park and back up and all those things, just like they said you do. I did that. So that's what happened to my friend Roger, later to be known and always known, therefore, as Catfish Fairchild. Now, I honestly hope that doesn't happen to this young man who caught that one the other day, because, you know, he's kind of a Catfish Fairchild. Not really the nickname you want the rest of your life. If you're going to be a scientist or a preacher, you don't want to be called Catfish. But a bunch of guys started calling him that, a bunch of us boys and other guys in town. So therefore he was, until the day he died, Catfish Fairchild. In his obituary, it says Roger Catfish Fairchild passed away. True story. Well, guess what, folks? None of us ever know about our tenure here on planet Earth. No guarantees were ever granted that we don't know even about this afternoon, do we? Nothing planned. So knowing that as seniors we are headed down that backstretch in life, I advise the following mindset. The mindset. And that is this: to do all you can while you can. How about this? Do whatever you can, whatever you want, while you can. All right? That's even a better one. So do all you can while you can. And once more, thank you all of those who have served our country. My personal thank you and salute to each and every one of you. So have yourself a good weekend. There's a big car show, car cruise out at the Coral Ridge Mall. Starts at 4:30 to 8:30. It's over in front of, on the southwest corner of the mall over there, and a couple of restaurants over there, and great place to go and see some cars. It's all free. All have music. Maybe I'll have my old car out there, stop in and say hi. So this is Rex Brandstatter from Senior Talk saying, go Hawks. Thanks for all veterans, and thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. So long.